Good morning, everybody. I'm never too sure whether it should be morning or afternoon when it's 12 o'clock. My name is Vanessa Fox O'Loughlin and I run writing.ie, but I also write as Sam Blake. So some of you may know me more as Sam Blake. And this on this side is Maria McHale, who is my partner in our fantastic writing group, Writers Inc. And also we run a challenge called the Right Here, Right Now Challenge. But we've been talking this week with various writers about various things. And one of the things that kept coming up was fear in various guises. So we thought we'd just do a few minutes chatting about that for anybody who wants to tune in, who is perhaps feeling the fear. And that's fear of starting to write, it's fear of the blank page, it's fear of rejection. It's a scary thing, this whole writing business. We get that. So Maria, what's your take on that? Because this is really your big area, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the big things I think when we start off, usually when we do these challenges, people are always terrified. And actually, even in the writers group, it takes time for people to lose that awful feeling of fear. And a lot of the time, fear shows up as imposter syndrome or procrastination for most people, and particularly writers. And, it's that thing of, if you don't know what imposter syndrome is, you probably have felt it. You might not know the label, but it's basically that feeling of like you don't belong, or that you shouldn't be there, or that, you're not good enough to be around these people. So that's why when we do these challenges, a lot of people have complete freakouts at the beginning, because they're just like, oh, these people are all way better than me. Yeah. I'm not good enough to be in this group. I couldn't possibly share my words. And it creates this awful feeling. And so it's really just keeps you small. That's the worst thing about fear. It's, you hide your light under the bushel because you're actually worried about, not being good enough or whatever it is. So that is one of the biggest issues. But my take on imposter syndrome is that it is a story you tell yourself. So, which it is really, because what you're saying is, I'm not good enough. These people are all way better than me. I don't deserve to be here. My writing couldn't possibly compare to anyone else's. And really, is that true? Mostly, we know from our own experiences that it's not true, because most people who write, they're improving, they're learning, they have just as much right to be here. And everyone started at some point.
Absolutely. And, we're all unpublished once.
Yes. Once you get that into your head, that's where you can actually start developing a little bit of confidence in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really helps to know that that's what the problem is. I think with anything in life, if you know what the problem is, you can do something about it. It's when you're just feeling it and you don't understand why, that it really is scary. And it's always scary joining a new group. It's like starting school for the first time. We all remember like that first year in school. So, I mean, particularly we find when people join the challenge, they can be a bit freaked out right at the start because they're nervous of joining, which is completely understandable. But everybody's in the same boat. It's like that first day at school. And really the thing about this whole thing about the fear and the imposter syndrome is that we did all start somewhere, and you can only get better if you work at it. So it's really, just taking it on board. And everybody has a skill and everybody has an angle and an experience that nobody else has. And I think appreciating that and bringing that into the story, particularly with writing, where it's so important for you to where you're always drawing on your own experiences, is really valuable. And so you will be as valuable a part of the picture as the next person.
Definitely. And one of the things that I always say is fear is stronger than cement in keeping you stuck. It literally will stop you in your tracks. So when you are wanting to do something, whether it's write, develop stories, start a novel, finish a short story, enter a competition, if that fear will actually a lot of the time stop you even getting started. And that's a lot of the time where then procrastination comes in. A lot of writers, particularly the ones who come into the challenge and definitely who come into our group, they'll talk about, I need accountability and I want to stop procrastinating. And, we have to kind of go back and go, you know what, the reason you're doing this is because you've got fear. And that fear, I think sometimes, what it really does is keep us small and stop us starting. So when you hear those thoughts in your head, remember that they're just thoughts and they're not facts. And you can actually overcome them, and you literally can, just with baby steps, get yourself onto a track where you're doing small but significant steps in writing. And that really will be the start of losing some of that fear.
That's it. And that's one of the approaches we take in the challenge. What we do is we set tasks, don't we, each morning, and they're small tasks, so they're not going to necessarily take you very long. But we look for a limited word count. We don't want reams. We just want a little piece. And literally, they're those baby steps building up. But in doing each step and in seeing how other people do it and in getting the critique, you build confidence hugely, because there is good in absolutely everything. And you know, we're always saying we all started off unpublished. We all started off rubbish. We had to learn. I had to learn the ropes as much as anybody else. And it's the whole procrastination thing and looking at the blank page is a problem that all writers have, regardless of whether, you know, how many books they've written. We all sit there and have days when we're just like, everything else is far more attractive. You know, the washing and the floor washing and the hoovering, and the only time my stairs get hoovered is when I'm actually supposed to be doing something. But often that can be your subconscious mind blocking you too. That it's that, you know, you sit down and you're looking. Partly it's fear of, you know, what am I going to write? Is it going to be good enough? In fact, actually, just come back to subconscious mind, but that's something I've discovered. Spoken to a couple of people during the last 2 weeks who haven't wanted to start because they're so worried about fear of rejection and slush piles and the difficulties of getting published. But you can't get to those difficulties if you haven't written anything. You know, what you write could be amazing first time off. So don't ever worry about, I think it's really important to, I suppose, park those worries, you know, lock them up in a box next to you, because the writing is the thing. And one of the joys of writing, I just think this is one of the best things ever, is that the crucial thing about it is rewriting. So it's going over the thing you've written. Certainly when I write a first draft, it's really, as I call it, it's a hot mess. It's a disaster. Like nobody would want to publish it. It really is a total mess, but it's there because it's a first draft, and that's the whole point of it. It's there. It's pulling all the pieces together. It's like creating a patchwork rather than just pinning everything together, rather than stitching everything into place. And if you can get that and only be worrying about getting that down, you don't have to worry about the end product and the letters to publishers or letters to agents or whether anybody's going to represent you or any of that, because you have an opportunity to work at it and rewrite it and rewrite and rewrite it. And one of my favourite analogies is the X Factor, because I always think it must be absolutely awful to go on to the X Factor and you get one chance to get it right. But in writing, it's not like that at all. You get loads of chances because you can work on it for as long as you need to before you send it anywhere.
And I think that's the thing about the challenge. When we talk to people at the start, you know, I always say writing is a craft. It's exactly that thing of, it's not the X Factor. You literally craft every single day and you get better every single day. And every little bit of learning and growth and feedback comes back to you and you can feed it back into the writing, and it never stops being something that can be improved and developed to the point of, you know, submitting it to an agent or for publication or for
competition or anything.
And I think, you know, when we talk about fear, a lot of the time you hear this thing about, you know, you've got to control your fears or face your fears, or, you know, I really think the best way is just let go of your fear, which sounds, you know, like, how can I possibly let go of my fear? But actually, when you take baby steps to do things that are a little bit out of your comfort zone, that's when fear can kind of just lose that kind of loudness in your life, because the baby steps, you're actually seeing other people doing something and thinking, well, if they can do it, I could do this. And it starts helping you develop. And I actually think that often people think they need confidence to start, you know, whether it's writing, joining this challenge, whatever it is. But I actually think you need courage more than confidence, because all you need is a teeny tiny bit of courage to do something that you haven't done before, to ask for help, to get feedback, to, you know, look somewhere to learn more. But if you have a little bit of courage, that will take you a lot further than confidence.
Carry a few, I'm using the wrong words now, carry you forwards is what I'm trying to say. I'm all over the place. But that's so true. And the learning thing is vital, because we all learn constantly, and it doesn't matter how many books you've written. I certainly always want my next book. I'm on book 5 now at this stage. The Dark Room is book 5. And they've gone to number 1 and they've done all of those great things, and which is fantastic. I have a fantastic readership who you know, look for the next book. which is really exciting. But I want each book to be better. I want the next book to be better than the last one. And so I'm constantly learning. So I'm listening to other writers speaking, and I'm looking, at reading other people's books and analysing them and doing all the things that you guys are doing as well. We're all at different stages on the path, really. And it's just a case, I think the most important thing is to know that you can jump off and you can start, and you're not risking anything. Nobody has to see this draft that you're going to write. I mean, the idea of the challenge group is that we do see the bits and pieces, and then we're able to give you feedback and you learn from that process. But if you're working on, say, a novel in the background, don't worry about anybody seeing it. Don't worry about that first draft. It doesn't matter how much a mess it is, because you're going to keep working it. Nobody's going to see it until it's really, really in great shape.
Definitely. And I think one of the things that we love about the challenge, and if you're on the fence about it, this is a really good example, because the whole point of the pop-up community is that it's a very safe space. So, if it's your first time and you've never shared anything, and if you're thinking, oh God, I couldn't possibly do that, this is actually, you couldn't find a safer space. And I think the whole point of these challenges is to nurture and encourage that little bit of courage that I was talking about, so that you can let go of the fear. And one of the big things we want for writers is to just kind of develop that confidence to just keep going, keep moving forward. Because I think pretty much everyone who comes to us talks about procrastination. And, I suppose one of the first things I would say is procrastination is like a normal human condition. We all do it. It's like, we all have jobs we don't want to do, and we put them off. But there comes a point with procrastination where it kind of goes deeper into resistance, where you are at the point of resisting even starting anything, or, so if you're struggling to sit down and actually write, if you're, say, every Monday, a bit like with a diet, I'm going to write every day this week, and then you don't, all those things are usually related to procrastination, which of course the underlying thing is fear again. So all of these are really linked. But if you join the challenge, one of the big things we can guarantee at the end is you will definitely have lost some of that fear. And I mean, it is as much as you can tell yourself, really, because as I said, a lot of these things are labels and stories we tell ourselves. So if we tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, it's too scary for me to do that, it's true to you and your mind. So the more you can kind of let go and go out a little bit out of your comfort zone all the time, like Vanessa's saying, you just keep building and growing, and that crafting just becomes kind of day by day bigger, better, and the words start flowing.
Definitely. I mean, the way we've constructed this too is that there's no way to do it wrong. So there should be no fear of failure. You can take the challenges, you can take the tasks and do anything you like with them. We obviously give you guidelines, and and it's great if you want to follow those, but some people don't, and everybody's voice is unique and every writer is unique, and you might have a different take on it, and that's absolutely fine, because bringing creativity to it is really important too. So you can't fail, you can't do it wrong. You can learn loads. You can connect with your community, which is also so important, because one of the things about writing is that it's a very solitary experience. You are doing it on your own. And honestly, nobody except another writer really understands what it's about. When you talk about trying to develop character, or maybe you've got a plot issue and you've got everybody stuck up a tree and tigers circling, and how are you going to get them down? Everybody just looks at you like you're mad, if you try and explain that to somebody who doesn't write. So that the idea is that you will connect with your community, you connect with other people who are writing similar things to you, because we have a whole huge group of people coming in, and they were all writing different genre. So you'll find somebody else that's writing like you, and you'll find support. I mean, that's really the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the hardest things about writing itself. It is a creative process, and so there aren't really rules as such when you're writing, which is why the challenge is, we have tasks. There's obviously certain rules to keep the group flowing smoothly, but otherwise we're just, it's whatever you come up with. And I think one of the things about it is that feeling of safety and having people. When you are writing, it's a very solitary activity. And a lot of the time, again, people reverse themselves into cul-de-sacs and they get stuck. They write themselves into corners, and and if you don't, I think one of the big things we've noticed in Writers Inc., our group, is, when people are writing stories and then their characters aren't working, or the plot starts going awry, and often they just need to say it, and other people then come along and go, but what about this and what about that? And you just suddenly realize you can change it, amend it,
reverse. And you can always find out what's not working, and often it's not working for a good reason. And it could be because, well, I'm big into the subconscious mind. It's because your subconscious mind is putting the brakes on,
Yes.
Or you've missed something. I'm writing a new book at the moment, and I got to the end. I keep telling everybody in the group this. We're talking about it the other day. Got to the end, and it's got completely silly, and the ending is massively ridiculous, and I'm going to have to change it. But I wrote it anyway, just to have it down on the page. And I knew I had to go back to the start. And last night I went right back to the beginning of the book and started going over, reading it through. And the answer to my problem was there in the first chapter, but I had forgotten that this particular aspect of this character, and it'll mirror beautifully now when I do make it work through to the end. So often the answer is in the work, or it's in your head, and it's just when somebody else says, "Oh, what about?" and you go, "Oh God, yeah, look, there's that thing," and it makes a huge difference. And that's I suppose the beauty of the community aspect, and the beauty of getting into a group where everybody's got the same objectives in mind and the same energy, and we bring in plenty of energy to this group. So it's a great job.
It's funny because Vanessa and I have a favorite quote from Jim Rohn that we love, and it's, "You're the average of the 5 people you're in the room with." And I suppose the point of that quote is it's about the energy that you have around you and the mindset of different people you have around you. And often when you're a writer, people don't get writing. They don't understand why you'd want to lock yourself away in
doesn't make any sense, does it? No, it really doesn't.
Want to lock yourself in a room? Why would you torture yourself with characters? What voices are you hearing in your head?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why? And so what the nice thing about the group activity is that finally you're around people who get it, and who can help you, and like that, someone going, "Have you thought of this?" And it's just so lovely. And I think that really makes a difference. And also just in terms of, your own thought processes, it kind of takes you out of yourself, because, the thing about being on your own, and even with we've to add in the whole lockdown situation, your thoughts can run away with you, and you can be having all these flights of fancy, usually in the wrong direction. And actually, once you come into a group and you suddenly realize you are not alone and everyone thinks like this, it really makes a big difference, and it's so motivating. So if you are on the fence about joining us, please don't be. We are both super kind and nice and very encouraging, and anyone who comes in, you it's not like a rule to share, but we love when people do, and nobody will die if they share their words.
Or decide not to if it doesn't suit you. If you want to write your piece at home. You don't have to. You can just usually by Wednesday or Thursday, everybody's sharing.
Yes.
Because you want to get involved in that process. But like if Monday is a bit scary and you don't want to, and you just want to sit and write it. And if you want to write, 1,000 words or 2,000 words on the task, then that's absolutely fine. There's no, we can't obviously look at it all.
No.
You'll see there's word counts on each day, but you can take it and use it to make it work for you, because that's one of the key things I think about creativity and writing and all of those things, is that it's unique, and you're unique, and your writing style is unique. So the more you hear how other people do it, the more you can sort of pluck the bits that you think are going to work for you and develop your own process. Because it's it's an exciting place to be.
And Karen McDermott.
We've just been, I joined from Karen.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. We're just talking about our Right Here, Right Now challenge, which is a week long. Well, it's 5 days, and it starts on the 26th of April, which is the end of the month. And we have a daily task, and it's all done in a very private pop-up community that we set up for the week. And we have a daily task where it follows a process, obviously. Vanessa and I have done, this is our 5th one. And people have created novels, characters have been found, there's been all sorts of great wins. But every day is a daily task. And then every evening, the best bit is that we go live every evening. And you can pick our brains about anything, and we'll coach you on writing and mindset and everything else. And it's kind of like a full-on motivating experience. So if you fancy it, we will put the link. Actually, we need to put the link in the comments. But if you want to come and join us, spaces are limited. So we have a limited number of people who can come in to the group. But if you want to get on board, we've already had quite a good uptake so far.
Huge huge uptake already. Yeah,
yeah,
we're good. We haven't got that many places left, have we? So,
yeah. So
yeah,
if you want to do it, don't wait, which is don't be afraid, come and join us, and give yourself a little treat and a little boost to your writing. And if your mojo is gone or lockdown has ruined your creativity, this is a perfect way to just spend 5 days. And as Vanessa said, you can spend 20 minutes on a task every day. You can spend an hour. You can spend as much as you want, but each day you can share your work, and it will really, really give you that confidence. And so we hope you can join us. And we will be talking about fear, procrastination, as well as writing, and anything else that you wish to bring up every evening during the session.
Yeah, and we'll talk to people. It doesn't matter what stage you're at with your book, whether you're just starting out, you haven't written anything, because this will get you up and running, or if you have, maybe you've written a couple of drafts, but you, or a couple of books, and you've been trying to submit them and you haven't been getting it there. The idea of it is it'll start you thinking about, what you're applying to your work, how it's working, and just sort of understanding the process a lot more. So it gives you loads of information. And we've actually had a comment there from Pauline, who's was talking about her first draft, and she was saying that she's just discovered that she's repeated the same thing about a character 5 times over 5 different chapters. But that's the joy of the first draft, and that I do exactly the same thing. Half of my editing in the second draft is taking out the repetition. So it's great. There's lots of practical tips packed full of practical tips.
And I think the other thing that I love about the whole experience of the week is even just watching the way people, because what happens is everyone gets a task, and the joy of creativity is it's amazing how many different takes people come up with. And what's brilliant is, you actually learn so much from watching what other people do. And even when people share their problems, usually you're not alone in that, and someone else has had that exact situation happen to them. And so it will really, really make a difference for your learning. So all in all, we're a bit passionate, as you can tell, but we really, really know that this has helped so many people. So if you want to get on board, you can sign up in the link in the comments, and we will see you next week. We're closing the group next Thursday. All entries.
22nd, isn't it?
Yeah, next Thursday. That's the 22nd, isn't it? I have to check my diary. No idea.
Time flies.
The days are flying by. So by the 22nd we will have everyone in, and on Friday the group will open just for the weekend so that people can get to know each other, and then we start on Monday the 26th for 5 days. So if you can join us, we'd love to have you. And if you've got any questions about anything else, just drop them in the comments and let us know. And we might even do another live about this or another subject before the whole thing starts. But
next week.
Otherwise,
the other thing to say is actually it doesn't matter what time zone you're in either, doesn't it? Because what we do is we put the task in really early. So we put the task in at 5 a.m. on each morning. And then quite often I will go through and do a lot of critiquing. And then we've got a fantastic group of our writer inkers who are in our group, who are really, really experts at critiquing as well. They're going to be there too to critique, and obviously everybody can get a chance to look at everybody else's work. So that happens all day, and I'm usually quite late. So it doesn't matter where you are. Chloe was actually on here as well on this chat, and she's actually based in Nova Scotia, so she's in a completely different time zone to everybody else. And it spreads through the whole day, so don't feel that you're stuck. If you can't make the lives, don't worry, they're all recorded. You can watch them back when it suits you.
Actually, and that's a very good point, that everything is kept in the group. Every task is filed by day. Every live is filed. So if you can't make it, there's an opportunity to ask your question in advance. We can answer it, and you can go back and watch it. So you don't even have to be, there at specific times. Everything is saved in the group. I'm loving Karen's attitude. She's already bought her ticket. Welcome, Karen.
You like
for it. We'll be delighted to meet you in there. Hope you all do sign up, because we love having people who want to learn, and I can guarantee it'll be a motivating experience for sure. And we'll see you inside.
Definitely. So we'll sign off for now. We've got the link in the comments there for anybody who wants to join. And we'd love to have you. Doesn't matter what level you're at or where you are in the world. Come and join us.
Absolutely. Happy Friday.
Take care. Bye-bye.